I've been playing World of Warcraft for a long time. I first logged in back in 2006 and I was instantly hooked. Life happened though. By the time the Burning Crusade rolled around, I slowly drifted away. Over the years, I'd come back here and there, collect a few mounts, chase down some transmog sets, just enough to scratch that itch. These days, I mostly enjoy the solo side of WoW, delves, old content, that kind of thing. Mythic Plus can be fun too, though I'll admit, as an old gamer, it can be a little intimidating sometimes. So I figured, why not try something different? Instead of racing to the end game, what if I relived every expansion, one at a time at random, locked in for 30 days? A little nostalgia, a little challenge, and discover all the things I've missed. So this is my locked in journey. And before we jump in, a quick shout out to all the creators who inspired me to finally start this project. Now let's go over the rules. Once an expansion is chosen, I'll have 30 real-world days to complete as much as I can within that expansion. I can't use any items or features from newer expansions. I can use the auction house, but that's only for items that come from the same expansion that I'm in, so nothing extreme like power leveling a profession through buying all the mats to do so. Now before I can even spin the wheel, I need to hit level 10 to unlock Chromie Time. That's where the challenge officially begins. So for now, it's the early grind. First order of business, gotta change a few settings because nobody enjoys the endless guild invites. And then I was out to thin out the local work population. After playing part-time animal control, I got sent after a few spies, and that's when I ran into my first rare spawn. And I forgot how many rares actually exist in retail compared to classic. And this one dropped my first real upgrade, which was a new bag. You know, in lower levels, this is a game changer. A few quests later, my paladin duties expanded to reviving fallen soldiers. And then for some reason, I was fighting fires. And you know, people knock retail questing, but honestly, like some of these interactive type quests are actually kind of fun. Once the starter zone was wrapped up, I made my way over to Goldshire, which apparently had turned into a full-blown party while I was gone. But that didn't last very long. Marshal Duggan sent me out east to deal with some more trouble. When I arrived, Guard Thomas wanted me to kill some murlocs, handle more wild animals, and track down a few criminals on the side. And somewhere in the middle of all that, I got distracted by a pet battle, which is one of those features that I never really tried before, but it is kind of fun. And then I realized Guard Thomas is back there wondering, hey man, what happened to this guy? So I got back to work. The next day, I tried to do some AoE farming to, you know, speed things up. And it turns out 5 mobs are still 5 mobs. But eventually, I hit level 10. I got my spec all sorted out. I learned how to fly. And then finally headed out to Stormwind. Before I go on, a quick thanks if you made it this far in the video. This is my first time making a video at all, and I'm still learning as I go. So if you got any feedback, I'd love to hear it in the comments. So with that out of the way, it's time to spin the wheel. Now, full disclosure, I did record the original spin, but let's just say the footage didn't survive. Definitely not a user error. So here's a totally real reenactment of that. Cataclysm. A world literally torn apart. Seems like a perfect place to start this journey. My first stop was the Wetlands, and thankfully I didn't have to do the old death skip to get there this time. It's not the flashiest zone in the game, but it's got a cool name, and for me, cooler memories. Back in the day, I spent way too much time here, mostly PvPing on the docks and the boats. And now the whole town's flooded because of the Cataclysm apparently. And honestly, that's one of the things I love most about this challenge. I get to see how the world's changed, and also why. On the way in, I helped some dwarves recover a lost keg, because really, where there are dwarves, there's going to be kegs. I also cleared out a few orc camps, you know, just to keep the peace. Most of my time here was that classic WoW routine. Run over here and kill this. Run back over there and kill that. Pick up some random quest items while you're at it. You know, the like definition of peak comfort content. I took a few detours to mine some ore. Can't really pass up free XP. And oh yeah, I did get distracted by some pet battles again. It's becoming more of a pattern at this point. While exploring, I stumbled across a place I'd never seen before, Green Warden's Grove. Apparently, the Night Elves came here chasing Swamp Thing and then just decided to move in. And honestly, I can't blame them. The place is kind of cozy. They've got an inn, a flight master, the whole setup. Eventually, a quest chain pulled me north, right into the Arathi Highlands. I set my sights early in Arathi, cleared out a syndicate farm, took out the trash in Stromgard Keep, and freed a floating crystal, because sure, why not? Between quests, I kept getting pulled back into pet battles though. Gotta catch them all, right? I also spent some time mining, and if you see a sparkle on the map and don't chase it, you're a stronger person than me. Also, while I was in the wetlands, I did learn fishing. And fishing is one of those professions that doesn't really feel like a profession because it's relaxing and you can just zone out and watch some videos while doing it. And then came the escort quest, the true test of patience. You know the ones, walking at the speed of regret, babysitting an NPC who just suddenly forgets how combat works. But by the time I wrapped up in Arathi, I was ready for a break. So I packed up and headed to Ironforge. It was time to check in on my blacksmithing. It wasn't long before I learned that professions aren't what they used to be. They're split now. You've got Classic and Cataclysm versions. So it turns out progress in WoW isn't a straight line anymore. It's now more of a spiral, I would say. While I was there, I stopped by the auction house because my bags were on the verge of collapsing. And according to my challenge rules, I can only buy items from the current expansion. So no fancy bags from Dragonflight or from the War Within for me, just plain old Ember Silk. And unfortunately, Ember Silk bags are a bit out of my price range, so I ended up settling for a couple of 14 slot bags and called it a win. Sometimes, storage space is the real endgame. After finishing up in Arathi, I wanted one last stop in the old world before diving into true Cataclysm territory. And really, for me, there's only one right answer, and for that is Stranglethorn Vale. The moment I landed, it all came rushing back. This zone is so iconic. And for those that may not know, this zone was an absolute bloodbath on PvP servers. By this point, my gear was basically made of paper, and the mobs were starting to notice. So naturally I thought, hey, let's solo a dungeon. I mean, what could go wrong? ZG dropped level 35 gear, so then I switched over to the Sunken Temple, which was the closest other option. And I rolled in super confident, and then I rolled out barely alive. So yeah, great idea, right? After that little reality check, I decided to stick with what actually works, questing, mining, and a few pet battles here and there. And I also tried to battle the pet trainers, but they didn't want anything to do with me. I guess it must be like a level cap restriction or something else that I'm missing. I'm not really sure. I'll have to look into that. So I kicked off the big game hunter quest line, tracking down named beasts because they need to be killed. So one by one, killing named beasts and everything else that moved in between. This zone really gives so many kill quests, and all of it leads up to the main battle, King Bangalash himself. So when the dust settled, I did hit level 30. So for now, the old world is complete. I really want to experience the new zones from Cataclysm because I've never even seen them before. And that's where I'm wrapping up the first episode. It feels like a fitting place to stop. It's been a nostalgic ride, revisiting zones I haven't seen in years and seeing how much has changed. Next up, I'll be exploring the new zones, new enemies, dungeons, raids, everything in between. If you enjoyed the journey so far, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you want to follow along. Until next time, here's what didn't make the cut. I first logged in and back. Head out to thin the local work population. For me, there was one right... Damn. Is this thing recording? my gear was basically made of pepper. Made of pepper.